so I showed you the shaft from the top,
Yeah.
so you can look in there a little bit more.
Okay.
But this is where it comes down to, right here. You see it's really narrow, and they used to have a ladder here. In fact, they had this ladder here until 1972 when they built this
Oh, wow.
over here. And so everybody that came down this way.
Uh-huh.
So you can see them coming down this little shaft here, and there's a little landing there. And then these steps are like 350 years old.
Wow.
These are the steps that those people walked on.
That's-
It always amazes me. I just
Yeah.
love to. So we don't like to walk here anymore. We like to keep that there.
Sure.
And I have to say, this is one of my favorite parts of the mine. I know it's nerdy, but I really like that. Now, if you can just imagine, I'm going to just talk a little bit about the prison while we're here in this place, because if you can imagine this rock wall all around here, and where the exit sign is, that's also a wall. You can see that it was dug out from
Yeah.
the door, but it was all covered. So this was the place, and of course no banisters. So this is the place, you come down here, and the prisoners were just left here.
Wow.
Whether they were 1, 20, 50, or 60, they were just said, here's your spot, be here. And the only thing they did was build these pallets, wooden pallets, across the walls here. And they were kind of like bunk beds, so they had some across, maybe another row across, and then, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 down or something like that. So, but they were chained by their ankles, and then they
Wow.
had a little chain in between. You've seen that, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And so they couldn't really walk, and they could just about go up on the ladder over there.
Okay.
So they were chained to their beds at night, and then otherwise they could be down here.
Wow.
And so if you can imagine 50 unruly men who don't feel that they want to be here and
Yeah.
just really don't like these conditions. There's no bathrooms, there's no supervision down here.
Wow.
So we have young people as young as 14 down here. They were considered adults back in the
Sure.
day. And then old, more seasoned criminals.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then during the Revolutionary War, there were also loyalists here. And then one other group that's very interesting is, and we got a personal note from George Washington saying, please accept these men. You have to accept these men.
Uh-huh.
They've been court-martialed, and I just can't have them in near my army anymore.
Oh, wow.
So we have those 3 groups all piled in, if you can imagine the mess here.
Yeah.
Plus, and during the Revolution, they were not allowed to go above ground.
Okay.
Maybe once or twice, or maybe just to get some kind of air, but usually that is stay down here 24/7, if you can imagine that.
Now, what did they feed them?
They had about a pound of beef or pork.
Uh-huh.
A little bit more beef. Pork was maybe like 3/4 of a pound. Then they had peas, beans, corn, squash, those kinds of vegetables, potatoes, rice. They also, after some time, not during the Revolutionary War, this place did develop, and there was a treadmill here.
Okay.
Where they would grind the grain and make bread, and
I
there's
see.
a bakery here.
Wow.
Towards the end of this period of imprisonment, there was a bakery, a hospital, a chapel, workshops,
Okay.
and everything. But during the Revolution, it was really, really Spartan.
Sure.
Okay, because they really did not want those. Well, they didn't want the soldiers that were, had broken the law for one thing, but they
Yeah.
didn't want the loyalists up there.
Right.
So they were outraged, those people.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the prison. Let's get back to the mine.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry about that.
Sure,
I could
no
just
problem.
talk to you tomorrow morning. All right, so the mine venture started when, as you said, some Simsbury men talked with the native people here, and they found out there was some copper here, and then, maybe a snarky treaty of some sort, who knows?
Yeah.
We got to do some research on that, because there were so many of those kinds of treaties or dirty deeds. Like one time they wanted something, the English, and I think this was in southeastern Connecticut, they took one of the old chiefs out into a rowboat, got him drunk, and then pushed him overboard.
Huh.
And said he drowned. So, there's a lot of really conniving. It was really too bad.
Yeah.
The Pequot War was just, I don't know, 2 big rivals fighting
Yeah.
for this dominance
Yeah.
here. And the Pequots were formidable.
Right. Well, one of my
very, very
ancestors,
formidable.
Edward Chapman, was involved in the Great Swamp Massacre.
Yeah.
And he was wounded, and he died the next day.
Now that was the Narragansetts, though, the Great Swamp Massacre.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And the Pequots came in 36 or 37.
Okay.
And then the Great Swamp Massacre, I'm not sure, a little bit later than that, though.
That was 1675. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm getting my
All right,
wars
yeah,
mixed up. Yeah. You're right. But, yeah, my ancestors were down in Saybrook
Yes,
with Lion Gardner. Two
yes.
of my ancestors' brothers
Lion Gardner, yeah,
were with him there
Yep.
during the siege there.
And Mason.
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
Mason, a town just a little bit south of us, Windsor, has a big statue of him. There's a lot of controversy from
Yeah,
that statue a few years ago.
sure.
So, have you been to the museum, the Pequot Museum yet?
No, where is that?
Well, it is in Ledyard, but it's on their reservation.
Okay,
So if you go, take 91 south,
yeah,
down to Hartford,
right,
and then take Route 2.
okay,
Just keep going on Route 2. It goes southeast,
okay,
and you'll hit, it's right off of Route 2.
okay.
You can't miss it. You go through Norwich, the little old town of Norwich,
Mm-hmm.
and then it's on the other side. So the museum has the whole history of everything.
Good, I'll
And you
have
can
to go
go
there.
there and see that.
Okay.
And they do have a film that talks about the Pequot War
Mm-hmm.
and all the people and why it happened and
Okay.
all that kind of stuff. So that'd be really good for you to
Yeah,
see.
yeah,
And the
good,
Dutch trade and
Yep.
all of that.
right,
So that would be excellent for you to see in the 1600s.
okay,
Okay, so, mining.
yes.
So we keep getting back to mining. So, they came down here, these inexperienced people with their buckets and their hand tools.
Mm-hmm.
And they were chipping away here. They did have some explosives that they could just like put in the wall over there.
Yeah.
They were controlled, so
Right.
they blow a little bit up and chip away, and blow a
Yeah.
little bit up and chip away. Over the course of the years, they realized that if they invited some people from mineral-rich parts of Europe that were experienced in mining to come,
Mm-hmm.
that they would have a better chance. So they did that. So Czechoslovakia, Alsace-Lorraine, and Cornwall
Okay.
were three of the places that they would invite people. So anyway, there was a number of obstacles that they came upon why they didn't really make the profit they wanted to. There was a decent amount of copper here,
Mm-hmm.
but they didn't make profit because, number one, they had to give it tax right off the top to the king.
Right,
Number two, to Simsbury. Now,
Okay.
Simsbury would take that money and use it for education.
uh-huh,
And since this part of Connecticut had recently split from Massachusetts and partnered with Hartford, they wanted to build a school that rivaled Harvard, so they
Ah,
started building Yale.
wow.
So some of the money went down there, because
Okay.
the elites in these towns would send their kids down there
Sure.
to school. So no more Harvard, Yale now is the Connecticut
Okay.
school for the elite. okay?
Wow.
So, so there's rivalry there. And of course they had to pay their staff. So the other big obstacle, though, is there's a system called mercantilism in place.
Mhm.
And basically, that meant that all of Britain's colonies all around the world would send their raw materials to Britain. Britain would manufacture them and then send them back to the colonies.
Yeah.
Manufactured, and then we'd buy them.
right.
Okay, so instead of cotton, we'd buy the shirts or something like that.
So
You know,
they
it's
weren't allowed to smelt the copper
they were
here,
not,
right?
They were not.
They had to send it back to
over.
England.
I'm sure there were little smelters
Yeah.
around the of course.
Right,
This is America.
yeah,
So anyway, they did that. Anyway, so that really took a huge bite out of the profit, because not only did they had to get it up above the ground, put it in a cart, down the road to the river, down the river, and two ships across the ocean.
Sure.
So it's so long, and then all the way back.
Mhm.
Now, on the way over on the North Atlantic, there's rough seas, so your ship could sink.
Sure.
Either way.
Yep.
Pirates are still in business,
Yeah.
so you got that. And also, England and France are at war
mm-hmm.
this whole time, so there's that chance. So many obstacles, they just couldn't make it work. Are you filming me?
I am.
Oh, boy. Okay, anyway.
Okay.